due to poor connection. All right. My goal and my sincere hope is that Instagram cooperates. Let's try Instagram one more time. Let's see here. All right. If you are here on Instagram, and by the way, hi, if you're joining on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, let me start this one more time on Insta and let's do a rain dance and cross our fingers that it wants to cooperate. Let's go live. All right, fingers crossed. Okay, we are just going to hold the energy that the internet cooperates with us. We moved to a new place recently, and I am not sure how I feel about the bandwidth here, Wi-Fi bandwidth. So anyway, hello, my friends. Hello, hello. I am super excited to be here with you today. We're talking about how to transform your sales in 60 days. Hello to everyone who is joining. Oh my goodness. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Tell me as you come in, what is it that you are? Let me see. What do I want to know as you come in? I would love to know, number one, what do you sell? I would also love to know, like, what's your vision for this summer? What are you up to? A lot of people right now are not necessarily talking about how do you grow your sales? How do you transform your financial results? Because some people are like, hey, I want to be on vacay mode. And I am all for you vacationing, living a great life, and making more money and making more sales at the same time. So that's what we're here for today. Hey, Sherry, great to see you. And then as always, if you're joining on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, give me a comment. That's how I know you're here. So we're talking today about how to transform your sales in 60 days. Rebecca, yes, insurance products. Is this the Rebecca I know? I think it is. Oh, Marnie, you're here. Hello, Rebecca, whether you're the Rebecca I know or not. I'm so glad to see you. Morgana is here. Hello, hello. Oh, this is so good to be spending time with you. I haven't done a live in a little bit, and I actually wanted to get this in before we're headed to the lake this weekend and going to be celebrating Father's Day. So shout out to all the dads out there. Melissa Daniels is in the house. I love it. I've got so many powerful women joining today. So we'll be talking today again about how do you transform your sales in 60 days. Stay until the end if you can, because I'm going to open up for live coaching for anyone who needs it, which I am excited for. We've got Valerie here. You all will hear Valerie featured on She Sells Radio coming up soon, which is so exciting. Scott Strickland on LinkedIn. You sell insurance and risk management. Amazing. I love, love, love my insurance and financial services friends. Okay, so let's talk about this. I actually want to open up with a quote that I heard today. And I thought, gosh, this is powerful. And it's from an author named Diane Ackerman. I think that's how you say her last name. She said, I don't want to get to the end of my life and find that I have just lived the length of it. I want to have lived the width of it as well. I just let that sink in. I'm actually going to read it again because I thought, gosh, that is so powerful. I don't want to get to the end of my life and find that I have just lived the length of it. I want to have lived the width of it as well. So that's something that in my own life, I'm super committed to. And I used to say, someday I'll have that life. Someday I'll have enough for, the vacations I want, the experiences I want, the impact I want. Melissa, you're saying love that. I love it too. I thought it was so beautiful. And I really just kind of got it. It was really just a couple years back that I really got it, that it was like, no one's coming to give me permission to live the full width of my life and to experience what is that fullest expansion in my life. And so as we talk about, if that speaks to you, if that quote speaks to you, give me a heart or give me a yes in the comments. But how do we live the width of our lives? What does that look like? And to me, and so much of what this community is about you stepping into a greater level of abundance in every aspect of life. And it requires to live the full width of your life. And it's not that there's a certain dollar amount that it's like, this is the amount that everyone needs. Like, everyone's here on a different journey. Everyone desires and requires a different amount to live their fullest expression, to live their fullest life. But what I do know is that in order to live that full width of your life, It requires abundance, right? Whatever your version of that is for you. And to create abundance, if you're, I know we've got sales professionals in the house, we've got entrepreneurs in the house, but if you're a sales professional or an entrepreneur, to create that abundance, you need a sales process that works, right? And so that's really what we're going to dig into today and talk about today is how do we create a sales process? How do we transform our sales results and create a process that's radically different than anything you've done before, that feels good, that feels aligned? And here's what I'll say too, because I know we've got a mixed audience in the house, and I love that about this group. And I'm going to speak today primarily to the women who are here, because a lot of what has been created in sales coaching land was not historically created for women. Now, I think we are making great moves to shift that. It's been so fun to be part of the Salesforce Influencers program this year and to see how many other incredible women there are out there who are really changing the game for those of us who are women in sales or female entrepreneurs. So I feel like that landscape is shifting. And I still feel like there's a lot of stuff that we just don't know, and stuff that I wish that I knew when I was earlier on my journey that I've learned, that's made a huge process, not just in terms of better results, but also feeling good along the way and feeling in my full power along the way. And so with all of that too, for our men in the house, shout out to Scott Strickland on LinkedIn. If there are any other men here too, I just want to let you know, I acknowledge you. I see you. I'm always so grateful for the men in this community. And whether you're like, you're going to get some great sales coaching too. I was talking to, I was on this incredible leader, Scott Carson. I was on his podcast last week, and he was like, I listen to your stuff because I feel like it applies to everyone. And I was like, I know a lot of it does. Or if you're, if you're supporting the women on your team or the women in your life, stay tuned, because this is going to be really, really powerful for all of us. But so let's talk about how to transform your sales in 60 days. By the way, Tanya, hello. Amanda is in the house. So good to see you. You've got to create a process that works for you. You've got to create a process that works for you. And what I've found over the past, I'd say year and a half, I've really been leaning into so much of the mindset, so much of the inner work, because in my own life, I've seen that's really the thing that has moved the needle the most. But I've also found and just heard in conversations with women in our programs and women I serve, it's like there is almost like a craving, a desire for, how do I create a structure and a process to my sales, whether I'm selling tech, selling real estate, selling, my own thing as an entrepreneur, that feels good. And how do I send a DM without feeling icky? And how do I, what are some of your questions on sales process specifically? Let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear from you. Like, what parts are feeling good? What parts are feeling clunky? I get a lot of questions about closing, lots of questions about structuring follow-up. And I was like, you know what? We need to have a conversation in this community about specifically, how do you create a sales process that's in alignment and that works for you? And so to me, one of the things that was always such a big pain point, first when I was in corporate sales, and then still even as an entrepreneur, was that I thought to be successful, to achieve my goals, I had to just push harder. I would hear things like, just follow up with someone until they die. Like literally, like, I'm going to keep following up until either you buy or one of us dies. And I mean, it's like funny, and it's, I don't know, maybe not. Say this thing exactly, even though it didn't feel authentic. Let me know, like, can you relate to that? Give me a heart or give me a yes if you can relate to that. And here is what I know is that for us as women, those things are naturally actually not in alignment with our natural power. And so much of how the traditional sales process is taught knocks us right out of alignment with some of our natural wiring and our natural power. And anytime we're out of alignment in our energy, we're not going to have the best results. We're not going to sell the most powerfully. We're not going to make the most money. And guess what? If you've got any sort of health issues, adrenal issues, burnout, fatigue, I can't tell you how many women come into our community and they're like, I'm here to make more money. And they start doing that. But then they're also like, oh yeah, and I've got 20 pounds that I want to release that I've been holding on to forever, or I've got chronic fatigue, or I've got this or that. And it's like, when they really get down to it, they've been in this process that's burning out the adrenals, that's in hustle, that's in overwhelm. And it was never intended for how they were wired. And so they don't even realize this thing is affecting their whole life. So let me know in the comments if you can relate to that. So today, what I want to talk about is, what are some core areas of your sales process that you can adjust, that when we make these little tweaks, it will literally transform your results. And not only is it going to transform your financial results, but it's going to transform how you feel. At the end of the day, everything that we want in our lives, that greater abundance, that dream opportunity, it's because of how you think it's going to make you feel. And I used to think it wasn't important. I used to think how I felt wasn't important. And so I would just kind of like suck it up and take the action and do the thing and kind of like struggle through it or suffer through it. Let me know if you can relate to that. But what I've learned is that that's the whole game. Like, feeling good is the work. And so how do we create a process and implement these little tiny tweaks in what we're doing, where not only are we going to make more money, but we're going to feel amazing while we do it? Who's here for that? Let me know. Laura Grabavoy's in the house. By the way, it's so good to see you, Laura. Hello, hello. So, okay, I'm going to focus in the sales process. I teach a 7-step sales process in my work. We're not going to get into all of it here. Oh, Instagram, stay with me. Stay with me. All right. I'm going to get with the hubby after this, because we need an internet booster up here for sure. I'm like up in this cave. I'm seeing, but the internet's going to stay with me. Okay. So I'm seeing yeses, hearts. Okay. Beautiful. Janelle, hello, welcome. So you all are with me here. So we're not going to get into the full sales process, but I'm going to teach 3 things that, to me, it's like right off the bat, if you can implement this, it will transform your results. And by the way, this is something I would love to know from you who are here live. When I got on here, I was like, what question do I want to ask? I didn't come prepared with the question I wanted to ask you. But what I would love to know is, where do you want to be in 60 days? What would be transformational for you in your sales results in 60 days? And if you're comfortable giving a number, give a number. If you're not, that's totally fine too. But think about, what is that? Mid-August. So it's like we're kind of back in that work mode and that back to school mode. Like, by mid-August, where do you want to be? What would light you up? What would be exciting? And then I want you to be listening as I teach these things for, what can I implement in my process? What's a tiny tweak I can implement in my process? That's going to make a big difference for me. So the first thing I want to hone in on with you here is your outreach. So again, we're going to hone in on, we're talking process today. Now, there's always mindset in the process, but we're talking process specifically. And check in. And again, you can give a heart, you can let me know in the comments, but does any part of you feel uncomfortable with outreach to your prospects? And here's what I will say is that, much of what is taught, and you can even listen to the language that is still, I hear it from my clients, it's still used often today in sales coaching and in certain environments, is about hunting prospects, right? So that energy automatically is going to knock you out of alignment in your sales process as a woman. So it's not that there's anything wrong with that approach. And again, because I coach, some men behind the scenes, and it's like, if that energy speaks to you and feels good to you, good, go with it. But for us as women, that's actually not how we're wired. We are wired to be more in receiving mode. We are wired to more be, this is going to, it may trigger you. I'm sorry if it does. It may trigger you, but it's like, we are wired to be more in the receptive mode, to be the one pursued. So it's not that we're not going out and pursuing business, but it's the energetic behind it that, when we can shift it, makes a big difference. And I think even beyond that, if you feel like you've got to go out and just like hunt down the business and close it down, and you're not able to truly connect with someone on a deep level in order to close it, that's what for most of us feels really inauthentic with clients. And so I had a client, she's, oh man, what do I want to say about her? Phenomenal client, in high level tech sales. And she sells with a long sales process. And there was a deal that she was working on that was like, the management wanted it to close by the end of the quarter to hit their numbers, which, look, I understand. Like, as a business owner, I get it. There are no, there are numbers that we want to hit. We have timelines we want to hit them on. I totally, totally get it. But she could sense that if she tried to push it too much before a certain time frame, that it was actually going to kill the deal. And so she had to push back with leadership to say, this is, if I push this to close by this date just to get it on paper that we got it in this quarter, it's going to kill the deal. And they didn't like it. And she had to go like push back, push back, push back on it. They finally said, look, we trust you. You're good at what you do. If it takes a little longer, that's okay. So I think the thing ended up closing like slightly after quarter's end, but it was like 10 times what they thought it was going to be, because she had taken the time to build the relationship and get to know the person. So I want to tie this back in with your outreach. There is, there can be a bit of a pendulum swing in terms of outreach and whether you're selling through DMs, whether you're making calls. I'd actually be really curious to know, for those of you who are here live, like I know we've got some people in insurance and risk management. So you're probably sending emails, making calls. We've got some entrepreneurs in the house selling, selling coaching, selling different services. So you may be sending DMs, right? So like, let me know. I'd be super curious to know what your outreach method is. Hey, Diana. Hey, Holly, by the way, so good to see you here. Hey, Mary Van Dorn. I love your goal in the next 60 days. Beautiful. Let's go do it. But there can be a bit of a pendulum swing from like one end of the extreme, which is I just want to build a relationship and I don't want to ask for the business, right? And I coach some women who are more in that space, to I feel like I've got to just like, hunt this person down and cut straight to the chase, and I can't build a relationship. For me, there's an alignment in the middle. And this is why I work so much in my own life and also in my clients' lives to help integrate both that masculine and that feminine energy. Because if we're always in relationship building mode and we never feel like we can tell someone about, hey, I've got this opportunity, I've got this thing, it's amazing, I'd love to talk with you about it. Well, guess what? You're not going to be making much money, right? But on the flip side, if you feel like you've got to be hyper masculine, and the masculine is very much about what's the end destination. And there's nothing wrong with this. We're all wired differently. It's really about you being in your strengths. But if you feel like you can't build a relationship with someone and get to know them, then that's going to feel super out of alignment with you too. So to me, it's really about finding that center and just checking in with yourself right now on like, am I in a certain end of the extreme? Am I avoiding having a sales conversation with someone because I worry about they're not going to like me, they're not going to, we're not going to be able to maintain like a friendly relationship? Or do I feel like I just have to, like, my mode was more like way in my masculine for a really long time, where it was like boom, 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 boom. And I didn't stop to build relationships with people. And I think that ultimately really did hurt my sales results, because I didn't feel like I could do it and still be successful. So it's about that alignment in the middle. Jennifer on LinkedIn is saying, okay, you do outreach to retailers to stock your skincare. Amazing. Phone outreach, email's been more prevalent, but doesn't feel as effective as a phone call. Thoughts about making calls? I love that question. If we have time at the end, I'm going to open up for live coaching and I can share some thoughts on that. That's wonderful. Okay. So the second part that I want to share, and this for me, oh my gosh, this transformed everything for me, was when I learned how to manage my time as a woman. Now, who here feels like there's never enough hours in the day? And I already know probably every single one of you feel that way. Because sometimes, if I'm being honest, I feel that way, right? But who struggles with overwhelm? Who gets into overwhelm, hustle, burnout? Like there's not enough hours in the day. I feel like I'm never doing enough, yada, yada. Or maybe thank you for the honesty and the heart. And maybe it's like you're just pushing and hustling and you're exhausted at the end of the day. So here's something that changed my life is when I learned how our hormones work. I know this is going to sound weird. You're like, I thought this was a sales process conversation. I promise it actually is. But what I want to talk with you about is how to align your energy with your sales process. So again, we're not going to go super, super deep in this. I work with this really hands-on with my clients, but men's hormones cycle every 24 hours. So what that means is that as a man, you can pretty much expect. Now, again, this is not about making a blanket statement about everyone. So no one think I'm doing that. But in general, as a man, you can expect to kind of have the same energy levels at different times throughout the day. So there will be a time of day where you feel like being more outward facing. There will typically be a time of day where you feel a little more quiet and introspective. There will be a time where you feel more like detail work, and like wrapping up loose ends. And that's really how our sales world operates and our business world operates, right? And I just think back on my own experiences in the corporate sales world. It was like every day you're pretty much expected to show up and be able to perform the same, if not better, than you did the day before. So here's what really shifted things for me was when I started to study. Well, guess what? As women, our hormones don't cycle that same way. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Your hormones will cycle roughly every 28 to 30 days, which means that where for men, there would be a period of about, let's call it 6 hours in a day where you kind of go through each of those energetic phases. For women, it's more like a week. And so as a woman, there is actually not just a period of the day, but there's a week out of the month where you're naturally inclined. It's going to feel easier for you to be doing sales calls. It's going to feel, you're going to be so magnetic. Have you ever had it happen where it's like, you feel like you're not really doing anything, anything different, but somebody looks at you and they're like, you just look stunning today. Or you just look radiant today. Right. And you're like, I'm in my fat pants and I don't really feel that great today, but thank you. Right. But you've got this natural magnetism to you that's a like extra above what you normally do for about a week out of the month. You've also got another week out of the month where it's actually better for you to be focused on inward work and planning and completion. And there's these 4 different cycles throughout the month. And when we can learn as much as possible, I found in my own life, it's tricky to like align it completely. But when we can learn as much as possible to kind of front load our sales calls and our sales presentations in that week of the month when we're naturally more magnetic, you're going to close more. Things are going to feel easier. If you've ever been on, it's like, again, like I used to make myself wrong for having days of the month where it was like, I really just didn't feel like talking to prospects. And I'm not saying we don't have to sometimes like just show up and do it, because that's sometimes we do. But now I know how to schedule my calendar. And so I will strategically schedule, like if I'm doing a launch, if I'm doing a lot of outward facing client work, I'll strategically schedule that during the time when I feel more like connecting with people, when I'm naturally wired to do that. And then there's another time in the month when, again, if you can schedule it for more detail work, completion, it's like there's different parts of the sales process. It's not all just out there talking to prospects. And when we can learn how to prioritize our calendars accordingly, everything shifts. So this for me, let me know in the comments, like, are you aware of this or have you not been taught this before? A lot of times when I go into corporations and teach this, the women are like, I had no idea. And then they start shifting their calendars and their schedules to work with their energy as much as they can. And it's like, bam, suddenly they're not in overwhelm anymore. They're not in burnout anymore. They're not in exhaustion, and they're getting way more done in way less time. And it's transformational. And then the final part of the sales process that I want to talk with you about is closing. Let's talk about closing. Who here loves closing? Let me know in the comments. Do you love it? Do you not? Most of the clients I work with are like, it may be one of their least favorite parts, but they also know how important it is. Melissa's saying very insightful. Yeah, this was really transformational for me when I learned this. Um, so let's talk about closing. Closing has become like one of my favorite parts. And I used to hate it because I felt like I had to strong arm people into working with me. I'm going to give you a little shift. One of my clients did this. She did this one little shift. It's not even anything she said, it was in how she held herself. Closed $31,000 more of sales in one day from this one thing. When you are closing business, now everyone can do this, and this is really powerful. Think about the energy as more of a lean back. Think about it as a lean back. So, do you ever notice when it comes time to ask for money, you may kind of like naturally like hunch in, right? And lean in. And it may be, come on, internet, you can do this, you can do this. It may like it's the part where you start to maybe get a little nervous. Maybe you start to sweat a little bit. Maybe you feel uncomfortable, right? Your foot starts kind of like tapping really fast underneath your desk. Well, I want you to play with and practice. It is such a blessing for people to get to work with me. And I am evaluating whether they are a good fit for me as much as they're evaluating whether I'm a good fit for them. And this applies whether you're selling your own services as a consultant, as a coach, or whether you're selling financial services, whether you're selling real estate, right? It's like someone is going to be in your energy or in the energy of your team once you take them on as a client. And are they worth it? It's not about making you better or them better or any of that, but it's about being in this literally the energy of the lean back, right? So let me like sit back and listen from you of why you think this is a good fit for us. And like I said, my client practiced this and she had been feeling nervous and uncomfortable about closing. But when she did this, it's almost like, again, going back to at the beginning, we talked about as women, we're more naturally wired to kind of draw in instead of push out. The client came to her. The client came to her. And it was this like, such a feeling of being in her power in that moment. So practice that, the lean back energy. And you'll notice like when we give prospects the space to kind of come to us, it's not that we don't follow up with people. I think I'm great at follow up. I love following up with people. And it's not that everyone says yes to me right away. And I'm okay with that too. But when we lean back and really give people the opportunity to come to us and tell us why they would be a good fit for us, and then we're available for whatever they say, try it. I think it's hard to not close more business as you do this. So let's see. Melissa's saying that's always great for hiring, the lean back energy. Yeah, it's critical. I mean, it's great in all areas of your life, right? But practice that and try it. So let me answer. Jennifer had a question, and then I want to talk about something that I'm doing that I'm super excited about. Thoughts about making calls. So if you have a coaching question, pop it in the chat now because I want to make sure that I get to it by the end of the live stream. Thoughts about making calls in B2B. Here's what I will say. Jennifer, and you can let me know in the chat if you're still here. Are you required to like, because I've worked for and with all different types of companies. And some companies are like, you got to do a call. If you do, I can speak to you about that. If you have options, I can speak with you about some more, I'd say, creative, easy ways you can get in with somebody faster. And that could lead to a phone call, but it wouldn't always be the first approach. So let me know, let me know what the requirements are of the company you're working for. You're saying yes, that making the calls is required. Here's what I'm going to say. So first of all, I've got a podcast coming out, not next week, but the week after, where we give some really good tips. I interviewed somebody else and brought him on. He's phenomenal. We give some really good tips about specifically like outreach and prospect. I think he goes into phone prospecting as well. But I would say, to me, with phone outreach, it's really about, you're in management. We're still feeling like we need to push making the call. Well, and I think it's like, so that's great. So it sounds like you might be part of the decision-making team there. Isn't it fun to like live coach over chat? But So I'm all for it. Like I do Zooms with prospects. I do calls with prospects, usually versus more subtle feeling of an outreach email and hoping for a reply. Okay, here's what I'm going to say, Jennifer. Listen to the podcast. So She Sells Radio is my podcast. Listen to the one that's coming out. I mean, listen to next week's because it's great. But the following week, we talk about how to get in with decision makers using LinkedIn. It's like ninja strategies. It'll lead to a call, but it'll lead to a call, but it's not always the first approach. But I think you may find that I would try it and you may have a better success record. So, and I'm all for also being direct, right? So I'm not about hiding things. I'm about being direct. I've done plenty of phone prospecting and outreach in my day. I find that, oh gosh, there's so much you can do with phone outreach. Getting people engaged early on, right? Like asking a question like, hey, is this Jennifer? And like building the relationship from there instead of going straight into, hey, this is Elise, I'm calling about blah, blah, blah. Like I always find that that can be better. And then having some names of like similar people you're working with in the space that you can, drop for people early on. But I feel like listen to the episode. You've been trying to find the buyer of prospects and connecting on LinkedIn. Beautiful. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. Listen to the episode because for me, I've just found there's some more ninja strategies. Sorry, Instagram. I don't want to ignore you over here. I'm like coaching with Jennifer over here. There's some more ninja level strategies that you can use and that your team could use too to help really get in on LinkedIn. And I would practice that. So listen to She Sells Radio. I think it'll be episode 156 or 157. And we go deep into that and it's really good. So Tamika Isaac Divine is in the house. Hello, Tamika. So good to see you. Okay. So with that, if you have a coaching question, pop it in the chat. I am here and available to coach. While you were putting your questions in the chat, I want to let you know about something that I am super excited about that I'm doing this summer, and it is called Sales Summer School. So here's why I created this. Like I mentioned before, I have found that we need it all. To be successful in sales, we need it all. We need the mindset. We need the wealth consciousness, which I'm all about, helping you get a really rocking relationship with money. And we need a solid process, right? We need a solid sales process. And this was very much just a kind of download really recently for me, which was like, get in there and just give women the process, like give them a super ninja sales process that they can use that's going to give them fast results to grow their sales this summer. Cause I don't know about you, but for me, like I'm paying for our family vacations. I'm committed to having an epic summer. We're booking a trip up to the Northeast for next month. We got our RV recently and it's like, we're having so much fun with that. And someone's got to foot the bill. So mama's footing the bill, right? Which I'm good with. And I know for you, you've got a big vision and goals probably for how you're spending your time this summer and then fall and winter. But it requires funding. It requires funding. And I am all about that. And so what I've seen in my experience is like, it only takes a few tweaks in your process for you to have really big results. And for me, for my personal experience, Erica, hey, it's so great to see you. I used to do well. Like I always did well in sales, but it wasn't like for quite some time I felt stuck. It wasn't mind-blowing success. And life was always like good, but it wasn't great. And I was comfortable, but I wasn't able to do the things I really wanted to do, like fly first class or take luxury vacations or buy designer clothes or buy the RV or make really big contributions to causes that I care about or live, this really epic life. And what I found was that simultaneously, while I was feeling stuck in my results, I was also feeling like I was having to fit into a box and having to almost like put on this mask and be someone who I didn't really think I was to be quote unquote successful. And let me know if you can relate to that, because that was my story for so long. And it was like on the outside, I was looking successful, but on the inside, I was struggling with anxiety, with panic attacks, with an eating disorder. And I was always in fear of, am I going to be able to make enough money to pay the bills next month? And so everything shifted when I went on this journey of really figuring out, like, how do I create and design a life that's aligned with how I'm wired in every way, including my sales process, and started studying with just phenomenal mentors who taught me how to sell as a woman and taught me how to sell in a way that actually felt good, not just to me, but to my clients as well. And I learned there's this whole other way to go out there and sell that doesn't have you feeling like you've got to hunt people down, that doesn't have you feeling like you've got to like go into like hyperventilation when it's time to ask for the money, that allows you to really be in your strengths and be there's so many just beautiful strengths for us as women that are like, we can be the best salespeople out there, right? And many of you are, because I know many of you who are here. But how often do we still make ourselves wrong or feel awkward when a client gives us objections or feel like we're in overwhelm because we don't know how to align our calendar? We've never been taught how to align our calendar with our energy cycles, right? And so this is what I mean for me, my own journey. Some of you know it, some of you don't, but it's like as soon as I figured out that alignment piece, boom, skyrocket, went from 6 to 7 figures in income almost overnight. Was able to create a dream lifestyle for myself and my family, and really feel in flow and purpose and alignment. And so the why behind launching this is like I've just had so many women lately saying like, hey, I need a process that works. And these are women in all different industries. These are women who are entrepreneurs. These are women who are in tech sales, B2B, B2C. And I've been privileged over the years to work with and coach top salespeople in the world and top entrepreneurs in the world across virtually every industry. I've sold multi-millions across B2B, B2C, network marketing, direct sales. Like this stuff applies. I've been in sales leadership. Like I know what it's like. I know the game. But there is a different approach that just works so much better for us as women that will unlock your next level of power. And so that's why I created this. And so it's all about Sales Summer School is all about you mastering every step of the sales process. And of course, getting that really good, like, I can't teach it without giving you some really amazing mindset juju and without giving you some amazing, like, money energy shifting so that you're just way more able to receive high amounts of money. Like, I can't teach this without including that in there. So you're going to get that too. But it's really, really designed on helping you structure, like have a solid process that feels so good to you, mastering every part of the sales process so that you can attract your dream customers and speak to them from a place of confidence and empowerment, and convert deals faster, right? And close them at higher dollar amounts. And so the principles in this are going to apply regardless of what industry you're in and whether frankly, you can apply them whether you're in a transactional short-term sale or a longer-term sale. I would say the only person this really wouldn't be a good fit for is if you've got a side hustle, you're wanting to launch it into a full-fledged thing and you need like full business coaching on how do I find my ideal client? How do I do my branding? How do I do my marketing? That's not really what this is. This is really about helping you dial in and master every step of the sales process. And I'm going to be delivering world-class training to you on all parts, with everything from magnetizing and drawing in ideal clients. Notice that I said magnetizing ideal clients, not hunting, all the way down to closing, follow-up. How do you scale your sales beyond you as well? And there's going to be office hours with me too, where it's like you can come in and get coaching. My private clients pay me 6 figures to come in and coach with me privately. And this is access to you, or this is access for you to me, for a much lower investment as well. And so I would say this is phenomenal if you're a female sales professional, if you're a female entrepreneur. Again, the industry doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you got big goals and vision and dreams, and you're like, I'm going to be a sales ninja. Like, I care about having a process that feels great to me, great to my clients, that I can take with me the rest of my life, and not just make way more money this summer, but make way more money the rest of my career. Because this is, once you know it, you can't unlearn it, right? And I would say your financial target doesn't even really like come one, come all for this. These are the things that we need to know as women who are either entrepreneurs or selling. in an environment, whether you're going for 5K months, 10K months, or you're going for a million, you're going to be able to take these principles and apply them to up level your results. And so this is, I'd also say for those of you, I know we've got some amazing sales leaders watching on LinkedIn and on other platforms. This is a phenomenal opportunity too for you, for your team to invest in for the women on your team. And so you can check it out, learn more at elisearcher.com/summer school, elisearcher.com/summer school. We are opening up and starting next week. And it's my gift, my contribution to you to help you again step into your full feminine power, selling way more than ever before, making more money than ever before. And it's really going to be helping you master every step of the sales process, from lead gen all the way to closing and follow up, referrals, all of it, so that you're just super in your power with all of it. So did anyone else have any other coaching questions, anything that you are feeling stuck on in your sales process, any part of it that feels clunky or awkward? I am here. I am available. I've got just a few minutes, and then actually our nanny is leaving, so I need to go and relieve her in just a moment. But hey, I just want to say, feel free to send me a DM, whether it's a question about the program. Again, it's elisearcher.com/summer school, or whether it's anything else. Like if you're bumping up against, like, Jennifer, I'd love to connect with you further and like hear more about the phone approach that your reps are using and offer some more tactical, like focused coaching when I can hear a little bit more about what you're doing. So please feel free to send me a DM on LinkedIn and give me a little bit more context into what you're doing there. And I'm happy to help. Or any other part of your sales process, money-making process, I'm here to help. Always, always, always send me a DM. And I'm just grateful for you joining today. So again, implement, like whether you do sales summer school or not, like I'd love to have you there, but practice these things we talked about today. Practice the lean back energy. Practice, oh my gosh, there's so much out there you can do with aligning your energy to your sales cycle. But just start to notice, like as a woman, when do you feel more on and more like you want to connect with people? When do you feel more like you want to be introverted and do your own thing? And stop making yourself wrong for it. Like there's there's science behind this. You can make way more money when you're in your power with this. I am just, yeah, my pleasure, Jennifer. No problem at all. All right, my friends. Well, I am going to head out. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to aim to get on a more regular schedule with live streams again very soon. So stay posted because I love connecting with you here. I hope this served you. And again, if you have questions at all, send me a DM. I'm here to help support. Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.